All right, artists, here we go. We are going to be working on some more lettering. This year you have worked on making block letters, and I've showed you a couple different ways to make a block letter, starting with a stick letter, like if I were going to do the first letter of my name. I would draw a stick letter, and then without touching the sides of the stick letter that I just drew, I would draw all the way around it and on the inside, trying to keep the distance between my new line and the stick letter about equal. See how this distance is the same as this distance? Same, same, same. So that's sort of how you draw a block letter. And then if I can find my eraser, you would go in and erase your original stick letter. For this entire tutorial, if you need to draw your stick letter first and then draw a block letter around it, that is absolutely okay. It's a great technique for trying to master the creation of a block letter. But we have not talked about graffiti art, and it's one of my favorite projects to do. And so I thought I would show you a beginning graffiti alphabet. There are lots of different styles. This is going to be something called a wild style, which incorporates a lot of arrows, maybe some drips, a lot of curved lines. The letters are going to be a little bit wonky. And so the reason this is important is because you do not have to worry about making your letters look exactly like my letters. So I'm going to link a file, a picture of several different types of alphabets that you can look at while you're drawing your name. I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for how to make your name look sort of like graffiti art. And then hopefully you have colored pencils or markers and you can color it in to make it look like an actual design. Now I want to stress when I'm getting started with this that graffiti is a type of street art that developed several decades ago and is illegal. If you spray paint graffiti on property that is not yours, it is and always has been illegal. Now, sometimes people like the look of that, and they might spray paint graffiti or hire a street artist to spray paint on a building that they own, and that's totally up to them. That's completely legal, okay? So I just want to make sure that when we're drawing this, that you have an understanding that this is a type of street art that developed in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and lots of big cities, but in its beginning stages, it was made by artists who were not allowed to be doing what they were doing. So it's very, very important that I tell you that, I think. So as I get my alphabet started, I'm just showing you that each of these letters looks different than a normal block letter. Okay, remember the block letter that I just drew that I erased? That didn't have any arrows. So if you notice on this A, it's thicker at the base, and then it has an arrow over here. And I'm not super worried about making it even like I was for my original block letter. Notice that I put a little handle on the top here. Same with the B. There's a little handle on the top and the bottom of the B, making it look a little bit more official. I've got a C here. There's an arrow coming off almost like a pipe. The D is curved. Now notice that these letters are about the same size, but sometimes part of the next letter is touching the letter before it or goes down below it. Now you don't want to keep making the letters bigger and bigger, so the next one, the E, is actually going to go a little bit behind the D, and then it's going to be curved up top, a little line on the inside, curved like that. I have A, B, C, D, E. That kind of looks like a G, doesn't it? I'm gonna get rid of this little thing right here. Now I want to make sure you know that when I go back through and make it look realistic, I need to add shadows. I'm going to choose to add shadows on the bottom and right side of my letters. Okay, if I add shadow all the way around, it's not going to look like a 3D letter. It's not going to look like a shadow. So I need to go around the bottom and right side of my letters, shade it in. I can always shade on in the inside little spots on the letters. So you can see I drew a line mimicking the curve that I already drew on the bottom of the letters and on the side. Let's see the D here. Notice that as I go up around the curve of the D, it disappears into the top of the letter, and same with the E. Now another thing I'm going to show you is, let's say that this was my name, and if I have time I'm going to demo drawing my name on the next page. I would actually want to go around one more time and just draw a line that sort of jagged, zigzaggy, goes around the letters. This is something that I would potentially then take a color, let's say orange, and I would go through and I would color in this background. This is going to make the letters stand out. You can make the letters completely different colors. In fact, sometimes I have my students choose two colors. Let's say two different types of, let's do a blue and a violet. And you would do one color at the top and then one color at the bottom, and see if you can fade them into each other. That looks pretty cool. Now, another thing that I just forgot to do is leave highlights. Remember, we like to do shiny spots. So notice that I'm gonna do two shiny spots right here. So when I color in the next letter the same way, I wouldn't mix and match too many colors. If you pick a color scheme, I'd do one for the shadow and then one or two for the inside of the letters. But if you wanna make your graffiti art next level, add some shiny spots. Another thing you can do, which I think is part of the wild style, is let's make some drip marks on your letter, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and draw the next row of letters for you. Let's see where I put my pencil. Okay. And where are you at? Then we're gonna make them dripping. So let's see. I've got the F with a curved top, curved side, and a little one. Notice that you can still tell it's an F, especially if you're spelling a name. You'll be able to read it. If you need to put your paper on the computer screen and copy my letters or the letters of the alphabet that I'm gonna link, that is totally okay. Sometimes graffiti artists mix upper and lowercase letters. We know from our classrooms that this is not how we actually write our letters. You capitalize the first letter of the first word in a sentence, the names of peoples and cities and countries, but you don't just randomly do capital and lowercase letters. But in graffiti, you absolutely can. F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Notice that even when it looks like I'm being sloppy, the letters kind of look cool, but they're all curves and slants. M, N, O, P. See if I can fit one more line in here. I'll probably have to move over to the next page. I told you that I was going to show you how to make drips, so probably not off the letters, although you absolutely can. But let's see, after I do my shadow, remember on the bottom and the right side of the letter, I'm going to add the drips to the outline, the colorful outline, and then this time I'm going to make it like an acid green, okay? So notice that I've added the shadow. You're going to add it a little bit more carefully than I am. But on the bottom and the right, making sure on curved letters like the O, just like the D, that I'm going blending it into the top and the bottom of the curve. P. Okay. Here's my outline. Now when I get here, I'm going to start to do little raindrop looking things. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And I'm going to keep going, and then I'm going to do another drip, and it makes it look like slime or ooze, okay? Cool, let me get that green going. Do I have a neon green? I need to take better care of my pencils. I use them, and then I don't sharpen them before I put them back. Let's do this. Let's do green for the ooze. the slime. You can use markers, colored pencils, crayons, really whatever you got. And just like with the letters, if you wanted to, you could actually give your slime highlights as well. The more highlights you add on something, even if you're making them up, the more realistic it's gonna look. But for right now, I've got my green ooze. I'm gonna make my letters yellow on the bottom. Notice how I've got the yellow going up about the same distance on each letter. I'm gonna do my orange on the top. I kept this color scheme nice and bright, which actually I like a lot better than the color scheme that I used up here, because I think the letters jump out, and what you really do want to do is have your letters jump out at you. Sometimes this wild style graffiti, things that you might see on the side of warehouses, buildings, train cars, it's actually really hard to read, and that's something that graffiti artists take a point of pride in, is developing their own set of letters that only they can read, or only their own friends can read. Okay, so for your style, you can choose whatever you want. All right, I'm gonna do my last row of letters so you can see how I do it, and you can slow down the video, pause it, and then I'll draw my name down here, and then I want to see you try to draw your own name. For the Q, Q is actually low-key one of the hardest letters for me to draw, because this little thing, when you're drawing a block letter, comes inside. It's almost like an O, and then you've got this little tail here. The R, I'll be using the R later. It's the first letter of my last name. So I've had lots of practice doing this. It almost looks like a slide on the foot of the R here. S's are also very difficult to draw. Look, struggling big time here, but it doesn't matter. Remember, if you need to draw your stick letter first, you totally can. T, notice that all of my letters are overlapping. When you're drawing your name, we're gonna try to overlap as many of your letters as you can. All right, U, V, we are almost there, hang in there. W, upside down M. X, this is one that I'm gonna add another arrow to. Look, this is gonna go down, arrow pointing down. Y. And Z. I don't really know why, but it's one of my favorite letters to draw, and because it's the last letter of our alphabet, I'm gonna add, you guessed it, another arrow pointing that way. It's just fun. It basically just adds another design element. So again, you could add drips or slime to this. I'm not gonna color it in, but I am gonna remind you, shadows on the bottom and the right. And then make sure you add highlights. Notice that I'm putting them in the corners, making them all sorts of different shapes. It actually doesn't matter. You can do rounded, but see how immediately it starts to make it shiny? Love how that looks. That looks like a smiley face. All right, make your design, your jagged line around the outside that you're gonna color in. You are ready to rock and roll with your name. Okay, this is gonna be tricky because what you're gonna have to do is, look, this is just an alphabet, this isn't your name, so you're actually gonna have to pick the letters and then try to piece them together in a way that looks like a piece of graffiti art. So, I don't know if you knew this, but my first name is Adam. It's 4 letters. If your name is super long, you're gonna be drawing your letters small, and if your name only has like 3 letters, then you can make them a lot bigger. So I'm gonna try to squeeze Adam in here, okay? I'm gonna do 4 boxes, A, D, A, M. Looks like I can fit my name, A, D, A, M. If I had more letters, then I would be drawing smaller boxes. And if I had fewer letters, I'd be drawing bigger boxes. My letters are going to be at least as big as the boxes, but they can go outside of the box because, again, this is not a normal block letter. This is graffiti. So let's try this. You ready? My A. Remember, first letter of the alphabet, I added an arrow there. The D I want to make sure is going behind the A, so I do a big swoop. Comes right to the edge of that second box. Line down, and just touches right there. I'm gonna do another A exactly like this one, but part of it's gonna go behind the D. And I'm not gonna worry about if my letter is slanting a different way. Let's see. I'm not sure I like the double arrow, kind of looks boring. I wonder if I can go like this. And then M. Okay, cool. Add my highlights, choose my color scheme, and then I'm gonna do my zigzag line all the way around the word. And if you want to, behind it, you can add red, orange, and brown, make it look like brick. Like this is right on the side of a building. See if I've got any colors I can add here. And you've got yourself your graffiti name. All right, give it a shot.